Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Norwegian Commercial Club. I will now turn it over to President Debbie Larson.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Norwegian Commercial Club. I am Debbie Larson, President of Norwegian Commercial Club, and today is November 12th. All right, back on. Just checking in for technical things. The next meeting will be not until January because of the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we're going to be, we have this early. Normally this would have been scheduled for the 4th Thursday. We decided to go ahead and do it on the 2nd Thursday since everybody will either be with their families or perhaps Zooming with their families on Thanksgiving. So until restrictions change, until we hear from the governor, we're going to continue live streaming using YouTube, using Zoom and YouTube. And we appreciate you being here. The best way to find us is just by going to the Norwegian Commercial Club channel. You would search for Norwegian Commercial Club when you get into YouTube. And that's the best way to find us. Hopefully you've been able to find us in the past, even if it's not at the time it's happening. We're just happy to have you join us later. So right now we're going to be observing a moment of silence, followed by the ringing of the bell to remember those who have passed away. And we've heard recently that in August, Leland Roseberg passed away. So let's observe a moment of silence. Thank you. So tonight I have a couple of announcements, and just to let you all know, if you do have any announcements, I don't want to cheat you out of that time. So please let me know, and I will be happy to read those announcements for you. Tonight I wanted to mention that it's coming up on that time when we usually would be having Fisherman's Night, the 2nd Thursday of December. That, as you would imagine, cannot happen due to not being able to gather together. So we are postponing that. Right now, they're possibly looking at a date in May, which could be a lot of fun. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that. But we will certainly keep you posted. The other announcement I have is during the holidays, during this time, there are people in need, and the Ballard Alliance is doing a food drive for the Ballard Food Bank. And Mountain Pacific Bank, amongst others, are collection points. So please put together non-perishable foods, bring them to Mountain Pacific Bank right next door to the lodge here, and we will be happy to get that over to the Ballard Food Bank because it's much needed at this time. And now I'm going to turn it over to our treasurer, Corey Nelson, to give us an update about membership, about finance, and also something to say about NACC.
Thank you. First of all, I'll start off by saying membership dues. Fantastic this year. Lots of people sending them in. We're getting a good response from that. So keep it going. It's important this year, and we're doing fantastic that way. And if you haven't sent in your dues yet, we got you on a list. So you will start to bug you pretty soon about that too. So make sure and pay. And remember, you do have the option of going online and using our PayPal function. If you just wish to pay by credit card and be done with it right there, just go ahead and go online. And then another thing too is, NACC, of course, normally has their Christmas lunch, the Eula board, but obviously this year not doing it in person. So if you haven't gotten your invitation for it, take a look online. We're doing it virtual. Yeah, of course, it's going to be pre-recorded, pretty well produced. There's some fantastic prizes that they're giving away for the raffle too. So the raffle prizes have not gone down this year at all. So go on there. It's the best bet you could make in town of that raffle at that Eula board. So anyway, thank you. That's all I got for tonight, and enjoy the presentation later. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Just wanted to make sure you stay with us until the end, because at the end, we will, as always, do a drawing. And that will be from the member barrel that we roll here at the end. And I need to give you that phone number ahead of time. I'll give it to you again later. But that money has gone up to $30 this time. And that's because nobody called in last time. And even if it's later, it doesn't have to be live. You can call in later, but we will draw 3 names. Whoever calls first gets the $30. If nobody draws, it goes up to 40 the next time. If they do, it starts over at 20. So that phone number is 425-802-0679. And I'll say that again at the end. Now, our Vice President, Eric Peel, will introduce the speaker for the evening. And I have something right here just to remind you what our talk will be about.
Thank you so much, Debbie. And welcome again to Norwegian Commercial Club. And we are so thrilled to welcome our special guest speaker this evening, Lotta Gavel Adams, Professor Emerita from the University of Washington Scandinavian Studies Department. And as you know, you saw in my announcement about this meeting, Lotta is really a troll expert. And as Debbie pointed out, we give these Tusen Talk trolls away every month. And I thought it would be great for all of us to learn a little bit more about trolls. And Lotta has been studying trolls now for 30 years. So I really think that she does qualify as a genuine troll expert. So welcome, Lotta. I will turn it over to you, and you can start sharing your screen when you're ready.
Let's see here, slideshow. Yes, okay, can I start?
Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Well, trolls are indeed special to us Nordics, and we do love them. Most of us know something about them. I must say that I know a lot. Not only did I grow up with them and saw them in the forest around my parents' summer house, I found them in my books that I read as a child, but it was not really until I started to design a course in Scandinavian children's literature at the University of Washington some 30 years ago that I really began to explore the history of the trolls. So now I'm going to invite you to follow me on a journey into the world of the trolls in literature, film, and art, from the mid-1800s to the present. You only need to travel up the coast of Norway to encounter Trollveggen, Trollstigen, Trollfjorden. It is hard not to become a believer that there are indeed trolls in their mountains. And there are folk tales to support it. There are even street signs for troll crossings at particularly busy intersections, particularly in the more remote areas. The trolls are probably related to the giants, the Jötun or the Jötnar, the forces of chaos in Old Norse mythology. At the introduction of Christianity around the year 1000, the trolls got conflated with the devil. Thus, trolls burst if you hold up a cross to them. They live in caves and are active at night when it's dark. If they stay out when daylight breaks, they will turn to stone. That's what happened to a troll wedding party at Trollveggen. It was not until the mid-1800s that we got a better idea of troll behavior and habits and what they might look like. 2 young Norwegian friends and folklorists, Peter Christen Asbjørnsen and Jørgen Moe, set out into the more remote areas of rural Norway to collect the stories in these areas to see what they were telling each other. They were in search of the true or core Norwegian narrative, the stories that the real Norwegian told each other. They wanted to know what the real Norwegians were talking about, not the cultural elite that lived in Christiania, in Oslo, that was influenced by Denmark. Anyway, what they found were lots of stories about trolls. The first volume of their Norwegian folk tales was published in 1841, and these folk tales became wildly popular. Even the brothers Grimm down in Germany commented that they seemed somehow fresher than the folk tales of the rest of Europe. An English translation was already made in 1859. But as of last year, we have a brand new translation of all the folk tales by the brilliant translator Tina Nannali. Soon, Asbjørnsen and Moe started contemplating having the stories illustrated. They contacted several artists, but when it came to the trolls, they found their master in Theodor Kittelsen. He had a particularly wild and fitting imagination. He was born in 1857, so he was just in his early 20s when he started to draw the trolls. Gave us a first glimpse, the idea what the trolls really looked like. Kittelsen portrays them brilliantly as forest, mountain creatures. The trolls emerge from mountains. In this image, the sun is setting and you can see a troll waking up, with the last rays of the sun reflecting in the eye of the troll. I must say, if I were walking in the forest in the mid-1800s when there were no street lamps, no headlights, no electricity, I'm sure that I would have seen a troll there. This is another illustration by Kittelsen. And again, we see how the troll grows out of nature. A young boy, an ash lad, is out to chop wood for his father, and he starts chopping at a tree trunk. And then he hears a voice, "Hey, you're chopping at my leg. I'm going to kill you." To make a long story short, the clever ash lad suggests an eating match to save his life. And he makes a big pot of porridge and put the pot between them. And then they start eating. The ash lad puts his knapsack in front of him and he starts scooping the porridge into the knapsack. When it's full, he takes out his knife and cuts a slit in the knapsack so the porridge can run out, and he continues eating. Pretty soon the troll says, "Hey, I'm full. I don't know how you do it." And the ash lad responds, "Just do what I did. Take out your knife and cut a slit in your stomach, and then you can continue eating." "Good idea," said the troll, and he made a cut in his own stomach. And so he died. And the ash lad brought home all the silver and gold he could find in the mountain and the chopped wood, and his father was very pleased. Even Norway's most famous dramatist, Henrik Ibsen, included trolls in his play. For example, in his wild and magnificent play, Per Gynt from 1867. He asked his friend Edvard Grieg, Norway's most famous composer and pianist, to write music to the play, and so he did. So this is a story from Per Gynt. The happy-go-lucky, irresponsible ash lad Per Gynt has seduced the Troll King's daughter. Now he is invited to marry her as she is pregnant and become the future king of the trolls. But first he must answer a question. What is the difference between man or human being and troll? Per scratches his head and can't come up with an answer. The Troll King explains, to be a man, a human being, means that you must be true to yourself, true to your own calling. While being a troll means to be, say self nok, be enough unto yourself. Only look onto your own self-interest, to be selfish. I can't play the music here, but please go on YouTube and look for Edvard Grieg's In the Hall of the Mountain King. It is an amazing piece of music. Until quite recently, we were not aware that some Norwegian trolls actually also migrated to the Pacific Northwest. In 1990, this Fremont troll showed up under the Aurora Bridge. He was the product of a Fremont Arts Council competition. The winning submission was a troll that obviously was inspired by Kittelsen's forest troll. It also draws on the Norwegian folktale about the three billy goats gruff. The Fremont troll, however, has changed his preferred diet from billy goats to cars, with a particular preference for VW bugs. Here he is portrayed as having plucked an orange VW bug from the bridge. Over the last decade, however, the troll seems to have done a pretty good job of clearing the bridge of VW bugs. You can hardly find any of them nowadays. So let's leap forward a couple of decades to the early 1900s. Schools have now become mandatory for all children. Even children of farmers and laborers have to learn how to read and write. While folktales about trolls had been the topics of stories for farmers and other adults in the rural communities, they were not particularly suitable for children. They were often too gruesome or scary. So now new stories for children needed to be written. School teachers and other writers set out to create a yearly publication called Blant tomtar og troll, among farm spirits and trolls, with a particular audience of children in mind. It was published every Christmas from 1907 to 1915. Early primary readers, like this one to the left for the working class children, taught the children, number 1, to be obedient, number 2, to be content with what they had, and number 3, to be humble. The ruling classes did not want the children of the underclass to stick up and have rebellious ideas of their own. But now, at the turn of the century, industrialization had arrived in Scandinavia, and society needed a whole new set of attitudes and skills for the growing up generation. The new youngsters had to be brave, enterprising, and smart, and take charge. And this change is reflected in the new stories for children. The editor of this publication, Cyrus Graner, had the foresight to hire a young illustrator by the name of John Bauer to illustrate the stories. And it is his illustrations that have made these stories unforgettable. Swedes immediately recognized the Swedish forest with its round boulders, ground smooth by the melting withdrawing ice cap from some 10,000 years before Christ in John Bauer's illustrations. It is very recognizable, but it also in some way different. The lines of the drawing are clear and bold. The shapes are simple and clear. The compositions are striking. Often the figures are portrayed in profile, like if they are on their way somewhere. Bauer's trolls also look like they are growing out of boulders. All this is typical of the ornamental Art Deco style at the turn of the century, 1800 to 1900. The see also, John Bauer's trolls are much less scary than Kittelsen's. But they do have the scary habit of kidnapping young princesses and blonde, slim girls, not for eating them, but for marrying them. And that could be scary enough. In the story of the boy, the trolls of the adventure, we meet one of these new, brave, enterprising young lads of the industrial age. So this young lad is out looking for an adventure, and he meets a troll with long, hairy ears. And he immediately addresses him and says, "Hello, uncle, I'm looking for an adventure. Do you know where I could find one?" "Well," said the troll, "I don't have time to talk to you now. I have a young princess waiting for me back in the cave, and I'm to bring her a sack full of silver and a delicious snake to nibble on." Thought the boy, a missing princess. Next, he meets a troll with an enormous chin with big warts. He was also on his way back to the cave with a sack full of gold for the princess, whom he also hoped to marry. And he brought a fine green frog for the princess to nibble on. Next, he meets a troll with a long, blotchy nose. He has a sack full of precious stones for the princess waiting for him back in the cave, and a fat, juicy toad for her to nibble on. Thought the boy. This looks like it could be an adventure. And he was not afraid. So the boy runs ahead of the trolls back to the cave. He finds a single small window high up in the chamber where the princess was held captive, and he crouches there and listens. The troll mother was very happy because tonight they were going to announce the engagement of the princess to one of her sons. And they were going to have a long and happy life together because trolls live for thousands of years. Unless somebody speaks the fearful verse that will destroy us. "What is that?" asked one of the dumb trolls. "Well, it is, 'Come fresh winds and blow away, long ear, huge chin, big nose. Come west wind and sweep away all these trolls from Mountain Gray,'" said the troll mother. And the boy listened very carefully and quickly memorized the verse. So the big moment has arrived. "Which of my beautiful sons would you like to marry?" asked the troll mother. And quickly the young lad up in the little window recites the verse. "Come fresh winds and blow away, long ear, huge chin, and big nose. Come west wind and sweep away all these trolls from Mountain Gray." And all the trolls are swept away, and the boy brings back the princess to the castle, and they marry and they live happily ever after. You cannot talk about trolls in the 20th century without mentioning the Moomin trolls. They have been and continue to be hugely popular, not only in Europe, but also, and perhaps particularly in Asia. They are trolls of a completely different caliber and level of danger. They are not really trolls in the conventional sense, and they are definitely not scary. But they did grow out of a pretty scary background. They do look more like little hippopotamuses. They live in a cute house, eat home-cooked meals, they eat jams and mushrooms. So where does the Moomin trolls come from? As a young woman, Tove Jansson studied at an art academy in Stockholm. There she lived with her grandparents, and she was always hungry. At night, she would sneak down to the kitchen and raid the pantry. Her uncle caught her and told her that behind the shelves in the pantry, there lived the Moomin trolls. They looked like ghosts, and they had eyes like sun-made raisins, and they would blow cold air down the back of your neck if you came down to sneak a snack. But the Moomin trolls did not come to life until after World War II in 1945. So this year we are actually celebrating the 75th anniversary of the Moomin trolls. The Western world was truly in chaos after World War II, and everybody needed something positive to focus on. Before and during the war, Tove supported herself as a political cartoonist for the political magazine Garm. And there she perfected her skills for satire, which came to good use in the stories about the Moomins. In 1938, she drew satire of Europe's response to Hitler's political ambition. She portrays Hitler as a child who's throwing a temper tantrum. He wants mera kaka, more cake. And the picture shows how the political leaders of Europe are trying to appease him. Her techniques is to use the naive to highlight, enlarge, and ridicule, and make obvious Hitler's political ambition. Oh, I should have showed you. Here we see him. Here we see Garm when he says mera kaka, and how everybody tried to appease him. So it was out of these political satires that the Moomin world grew. Peace out of chaos. You can see the two contrasted front pages here, hired. And the last one is from August 1946, when everything is starting to look nice again. The Moomin trolls are not really trolls. They're more like people we know, our friends and neighbors. So let's take a look at them. Moomin Mama is at the center of the Moomin universe with a striped apron and her Queen Elizabeth handbag. She's based on Tove's mom. She's kind, understanding, forgiving. She's a source of warmth and food and love, and all nice things are good for you, she says. Moomin Papa is a gentle caricature of Tove Jansson's father. He is a bit macho, preoccupied with himself. He really needs to feel important, and he's a bit narcissistic. So, entering the 21st century, and again, during the entire 20th century, the trolls were the characters of children's literature. Come the 21st century, the trolls enter the grown-up world art again in literature, film, and art. The year 2000, Johanna Sinisalo published a book called Troll and Love Story. It was an immediate success. It is a thriller, a crime novel of sorts, with ecological and erotic undertones. The main character, Angel, a young, blonde, gay photographer, comes home from a hot date and finds a couple of teenage punks kicking around what he thinks is a puppy in the yard of his apartment complex. He saves it, takes it up to his apartment, and discovers that it is a creature that he doesn't recognize. So, of course, he goes to the internet, and there he finds the following under www.finishnature.fi. Troll. Latin name, Philippicus trollius. Family, cat apes. A pan-Scandinavian carnivore found only in the north of the Baltic and Western Russia. Disappeared completely from Central Europe along with deforestation, but according to folklore and historical sources, still fairly common in medieval times. Not officially discovered and scientifically classified as a mammal until 1907. Before then assumed to be a mythical creature of folklore and fairy tale. I will not tell you how this story ends, because that would spoil the story, but I strongly recommend the book. Another troll story for grown-ups is the Norwegian movie Trolljägarna, the Troll Hunters, and I bet that several of you have already seen it. It is a mockumentary, that is a fake documentary about a secret Norwegian agency with a mission of capturing and killing trolls. It's filmed with a handheld camera, which does make it really scary, but it's also really hilarious. Strongly recommended. It is available at Amazon Prime, and you can see it anytime you want. In 2018, 2 years ago, Sweden submitted a film about trolls to the Academy Awards in the category of Best Foreign Language Film. It is an amazing movie, and it evokes a lot of feelings. Some viewers are disgusted and turned off because it does go beyond what might be considered good taste. And others, like the reviewer Howard Fisherman of The New Yorker, who called it shocking and provocative and found that it reached into the expressionist traditions of August Strindberg and Ingmar Bergman. Fishman headlined his review, "I accidentally walked into border, and it kind of changed my life." At the center of the story is Tina, who was born into a troll's body, but lives her life as a human being, a customs agent with a particular talent to smell feelings of guilt and shame and bad conscience in the people that pass by her. The makeup artists have done an amazing job on Eva Melander to turn her into Tina. You see the two pictures up there. While Tina feels like a freak in her troll body, she is continuously trying to explore what it means to be människa, the human being. The issue comes to a point when Tina meets Vore, another troll, and feels physically attracted to him. The images in the film are mesmerizing. It brings us back to the forests of John Bauer. This is a film on so many levels, but one that struck close to me is also the topic of many other troll stories. What is the difference between the troll and a human being? What is the border between? The same question that the troll kings asked Per Gynt in Henrik Ibsen's play. Where is the border, the gräns, between humanity and troll mentality? What does it mean to be a human being in a world where the forces of chaos are as alive and scary today as they were in the folk tales of the mid-1800s? Also, we're seeing available at Amazon Prime. Finally, we come to the Danes. Thomas Danbo, recycle artist and creator of the modern Danish trolls. So, Norway, Sweden, Finland, you can move over. Thomas Danbo's trolls want to tell a story. They want to hide and play and peekaboo. His trolls are truly lovable, and they are multiplying all over Europe, North and South America, and Asia. There's one in Colorado, a whole series of them in Chicago, one in Puerto Rico, and we are hoping to possibly get one to the Nordic Museum, but they are expensive. They are made of recycled wood and other materials, but Thomas Danbo travels with a crew of 7 men and their tools, and they have to be housed and fed for about 2 weeks, and he needs a lot of volunteers. And he has already submitted a couple of proposals to the museum, and eventually we may see if we have enough money. So Danbo's trolls are playful, but they are not always to play with. Kids can climb on them. They are not always to be trusted, however, so it's best to be on the lookout if they are throwing stones. So that's the end of this, what happened to your cars if you are not careful, if you park too close. So that's the end of my story. I thank you for your attention. I'm screen sharing. Stop sharing.
Thank you, Lotta. It's great to have you here this evening, and thank you for enlightening us about trolls. As Debbie pointed out earlier, we will be bringing you a troll. I will bring you a troll from this evening to say Tusen Talk.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, and now we will let Lotta conclude, and I'll turn this back over to Debbie for some monkey business.
Okay, bye-bye.
Welcome back, and thank you so much, Lotta. That was fantastic. So now Corey is going to help me do the drawings. And oh wow, get over here. So you all know what this is. This is for members only. We pull out a name. We're going to pull 3. All right.
A blank.
Oh, blank. Well,
Blank.
okay. We didn't.
I erased it.
Well.
That one's not going to count.
Why do I?
I pulled Debbie Larson. That would have been it.
That
Without a crowd here, that would have been too suspicious.
That happened in September, I think. But we have to do 2 more, right? Yeah. Shell Miras. Shell Miras. And Gunnar Uneland. Gunnar Uneland. And Karin Jacobsen. Karin Jacobsen. So we've got Shell Miras, Gunnar Uneland, Karin Jacobsen. Call right away, and whoever calls first will be the one that gets the $30 tonight. Hopefully, you're either listening now or will be listening later. Whoever calls first, though, they'll win the $30. So we will let you know who that is. So thank you so much for being a part of this tonight. Thank you to Eric for producing and Corey for joining me. And we hope that many of you are able to enjoy this presentation. Thank you and good night.
See ya.